Amen to that. It's time to execute the second segment of our show. We are live in Studio B with your day-to-day BYU Sports play-by-play. I'm Spencer Linton alongside Jerem Jordan. Joining us now, fresh off running every single step in Lavelle Edwards Stadium, he is our dual threat analyst superstar, Blaine Fowler, national champion and a champion in our hearts. Blaine, welcome back to BYU Sports Nation on game day eve. How you feeling after running every stair?
Actually, this year I'm way better. Like last year, I was completely wrecked the next day. Like, in fact, the last couple of years, I've been completely wrecked the next day. But knowing that Gavin was going to make me do this, right? Like, I actually did some more specific training. Like, I integrated a bunch of calf work into my workouts the last couple months. I've run a little bit of stadium stairs. Gavin's done it. Because, frankly, last year we got up the next morning. When I got out of bed, my calves didn't work. and I walked like a peg leg for like 3 days. And so feeling much better today. I actually got an early workout in. I'm going to try to ride my bike later tonight up the canyon. Like, it's all good. And I can tell you, if you guys ever have a chance to do that, it will just get you ready and in football mode. And it was really fun last night because the freshmen were all making their way into the stadium and forming their block white. We had just finished running that end zone, and the students started to come in. By the time we got done, they had the block Y in the end zone for their big freshman class picture. And, I mean, I walked out of there with just like goosebumps ready for the game Saturday night. It was fun.
Can't wait, man. Okay, we were discussing, and we didn't agree, on what this game is going to mean for the season. Spencer feels strongly that, and I feel strongly too, that, okay, if BYU doesn't do something, if they struggle in a category, especially like running the ball, that would be, oh no, is the same as last year? I'm of the opinion that if they have great success running the ball, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be awesome at it in Big 12 play. It's an FCS team. It's game one. You should be able to control the line of scrimmage to a certain degree. How do you feel about how much we're going to lean into what things mean projecting for the rest of the season?
Like, the most important thing, I think, from a coaching perspective, like, do they want to put the foot on the gas and really get after it on both sides of the ball? They absolutely do, because they want to start the season with some momentum, because let's face it, they finished the season last year without any, right? And so I think it is important that they play well, but more importantly, a lot of the losses down the stretch toward the end of the season on certain plays, like in the wrong gaps defensively, on the offense, making bad decisions at the quarterback decision or not running the right route. So I think more importantly is, do they play clean? Do the quarterbacks take care of the football? Are the linemen blocking the right people? Are they gap sound on defense? I mean, those are the kind of more in-depth things that I'm looking at, because I think they'll get much better from game one to game two. And if they can be assignment sound, I think they have plenty of physical talent on this team to have a solid season. It's correcting those errors that they were making down the stretch last year that's most important to me, and that's what I'm looking for.
This staff has shown that they don't want to actually put up a 70 spot, I think, on an FCS team per se. They would rather sort of keep the playbook vanilla. If they can win convincingly, great. Last year, they pulled off the pedal when they were up 14-0 because they're like, we don't want to show our stuff. So I want to see 50-plus wins, points here, Blaine, but I just think BYU is going to try and win the game. If they can win it convincingly, great. Stay healthy, be clean, move on, don't show the playbook. Do you think there would be anything other than that tomorrow?
We just lost Blaine Fowler. We'll get him reconnected in just a moment.
Listen, if he doesn't want to answer the question, it's fine.
He just dodged that blitz.
He's like, you know what? I'm out of here.
I got to go to the locker room for a little bit.
I got to bike the canyon, dude, tonight. That'll be beautiful.
Okay, so I do want to talk about the 14.5-point line, which, by the way, I think has dropped now to just straight up 14.
I saw DraftKings 14 yesterday.
ESPN is right at
14 is so low. We're not talking about a team that returns a bunch of people that went to the final of the FCS playoffs.
So based on
that, they ranked 5. They're good. Don't get me wrong.
And based on the fact that it opened at 19.5, it's never been this huge, overwhelming line.
It was never 28.
So I think
31.
That's why maybe I feel more strongly about 30-plus points, because the line was not even 20. It was 19.5 at its highest.
Yeah. What's the?
So Is a 30-plus, like, would a 30-plus point win, like, do we need to give that more credence? Because expectations are so low for BYU, and maybe expectations are a little higher for Southern Illinois because they've been good in recent years.
They just don't return a ton of the people.
You're buying into the Hans Olsen ideology a lot, right?
Yes. They have some quality transfers that are coming in from big programs. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, they have some guys. I'm not saying this is Southern Utah, but it's closer to like a good Weber State that's been in the FCS top 16. There's a reason BYU didn't play Jay Hill that often. Jay Hill is good. Frankly, I was a little surprised when they signed up Southern Illinois. Like, this is one of the better teams. Why does Colorado play North Dakota State? Like, that's a lose-lose situation. If you win, you're supposed to.
Why is Colorado throwing the ball with a minute and a half left in the game?
Why are they punting it with 10 on the play clock with 38 seconds left? Like, run that down. There's all kinds of questions.
Yes. All right, Blaine Fowler is back. He has reestablished his connection. Sorry, Blaine, if that was an off-putting question. We can reformat things.
So I was asking that you mentioned, will this staff keep the pedal down? I don't think they will. They'd rather kind of win the game and keep it as vanilla as possible in a win, and then they can kind of show stuff at SMU and Wyoming. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's a little of both in their mindset, and that is, like, you can't take your foot off the gas because this is too good a program. And I know you were just talking about that, the two of you. This is a program that has had some success with FBS teams. It's got a winning culture. They have some quality transfers in the program. I mean, that's good and bad. They got 13 transfers in the two deep this year because I'm telling you, I would not want to be coaching in FCS right now because of the transfer rules. Now, it's so hard to keep a consistent roster, and it's getting harder each year. But it's a culture of winning. It's a coaching staff that's really creative. On the offensive side, they do a lot to get people isolated in space. They're really smart with formations and motion. Defensively, they run a 3-3-5, and they're really, really sound with what they do. And so this is a good team. This isn't a team you can go in and say, hey, let's hold out these 5 packages for SMU so we don't show them. I don't think you have that luxury. Frankly, I would never schedule Southern Illinois, or as you mentioned, North Dakota State, in a first game. I just wouldn't do it. But that's what they've got. So I think you have to be really careful about looking ahead and saying, let's hold packages out. And you know, if BYU jumps on them early, then maybe they don't get to some of their stuff. But I don't think they go in with a mindset that we're not going to use these 3 or 4 things.
Blaine, there are clearly differing opinions on what would qualify as a statement for all BYU fans. Here in Studio B with Jerem and I giving our opinions, and then across BYUSN, as we've seen on social media. In your opinion, what would qualify as the proper statement from BYU? Because I'm looking at what happened against Sam Houston and Southern Utah last year, and not being able to run the ball was just a huge red flag. So my expectations, like 30 plus, if they can run for 200 plus, to me, that makes enough of a statement for me to be like, okay, we're headed in the right direction. Where do you stand in that conversation?
See, I'm okay. Like, I'm a little more tempered than you. I think 21. Like, the original line was what? Was it 19?
Yeah, that was the highest. That was the highest it was.
It opened there, yeah.
Yeah. And so to me, it's like that original line or the highest line, cover that. So I've been thinking all along moving into this, even as good as they are, 21 points. And then at 21 points, I also want to see them get to work on some things at the end of the game, to get some guys in the game with some experience, to play both quarterbacks, to get some of these young defensive players. This freshman class on defense, now at the end of fall camp, I'm going to call it a home run, like a big-time home run. I would like to see some of those guys play. I would rather have a 21-point win and play those guys than a 31-point win. That's my preference.
You called it a home run with freshmen. You're talking about Tommy Prasis and Falatel Satuala. Who are you talking about that you want to see play, freshmen?
Yeah, I'd like to see Trey Alexander play. Those two that you mentioned for sure. Maybe Matthias at the other corner. Also, some of these sophomores, Evan Johnson. I think he's going to play a bunch regardless because he's going to be in the rotation this year. But I want to see those guys. I really want to see Prasis, Falatel, and especially Trey Alexander. Really, really good freshman class. And Johnny, the other corner, who I think is a custom-made nickel guy in the long term here.
Cabello.
Like there's some really, really good secondary players that are freshmen that I would like to see get in this game. And I think you get to 21 and you feel comfortable, get those guys in the game and give them some experience, because as the season progresses, this whole thing about, well, BYU, you know, there's a speed disadvantage. Not with those guys, there's not. There's no speed disadvantage. BYU has as much speed as anybody in the country now, especially when you get into their young guys. And so I'd like to see that speed out on the field in this game if possible. So get to 21. That's plenty of a statement, and get those guys in the game.
Okay, we'll finish with this, Blaine. Give us one bold prediction that will happen tomorrow night for BYU.
Rather than like throw a stat out there, because I think we're going to be more impressed with the run game than people think. Let me throw two names out there that we're all going to go, wow, that was a surprise. I think Hinckley Ropati, we got to keep that guy healthy. People are going to go away from the game and go, wow, we forgot how good he is, and he might even be better than we remember. So watch for that. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I think people are going to go, wait a minute, Tanner Wall? He's killing people out there. What's going on out there? He's as physical as safety as we've had in a long, long time. People don't know who he is, but by the end of Saturday night, they're going to go, wow, Tanner Wall is going to knock somebody out before the season is over.
Let's go.
Kellen Fowler vibes. Let's go.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Blaine?
It reminds me of Andrew Rich. He's not as big as Andrew, but like Andrew Rich type of a guy hitting.
Let's go.
Yeah. He is so fun to watch. People are going to say wow about him after tomorrow night.
Great stuff as always. Cannot wait to kick off the season tomorrow night. You can see more of Blaine Fowler beginning at 6 Eastern live on BYUtv, our 2-hour pregame special. Thanks, Blaine.
Thanks, Blaine.
See you.